This week, we're talking about Sony saving the PlayStation 4 from the clutches of imminent death, and the Switch Pro rumors are back. So let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and yes, this week we're talking all about the PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch. The PlayStation 4 specifically, because the rumors are true. The rumor that I created at the intro, and then now I'm talking about it. So it's not really a rumor, but it is true. Sony has saved the PlayStation 4 from imminent death. Now, if you happen to catch my video about why I think Sony will do backwards compatibility, eventually this was one of the topics that I brought up. So with both the PS3 and the PS4, there's an issue where, well, it's not really an issue, it's just the way that it works. If the CMOS battery on the motherboard dies and you replace it, in order to get the correct time, the system has to sync up with PlayStation Network Services, or PSN. So before, with the PlayStation 4, if it wasn't able to do that time sync after the CMOS battery dies, it wouldn't be able to authenticate that it's a legit system. If it couldn't authenticate with the server, then games wouldn't work. And you would think, like, what's the issue with that? Well, who knows in 20 years if those same PSN servers are going to be around. So if these CMOS batteries start dying on the PlayStation 4, then that would make all games unplayable on it, both physical and digital. But luckily, Sony just rolled out version 9 of the firmware, which basically does away with the whole requirement that it has to sync with the server. So it is still going to have to sync with the server to get the correct time for the motherboard, but it doesn't prevent you from playing games anymore. So basically it was a security measure just to make sure like no one was trying to do anything weird with their system, but they got rid of it. So now you can go ahead and not have to worry about, like, if you have a PlayStation 4, 20 years from now, not being able to play any games on it. There's still going to be the issue of, if the servers do go down, there's still going to be things like patches you won't be able to get anymore. So like, let's say if you have Cyberpunk for PS4, like the launch edition, and then you go and put it in and there's no servers, you'll be stuck playing that version of the game forever. But at least if you do have a PlayStation 4 and like you pull it out 20 years from later and like, oh, I want to play this game, then you won't have to worry about it like not working at all. That's actually a good move on Sony's part. There's been no mention if they're going to do the same thing with the PS3. In the article, they actually did test it. They removed the CMOS battery so the time would reset and desync with the server, and then play the game, and it worked. So it is confirmed that that does work now. So good move on Sony. Now I'm still waiting for them to eventually cave on backwards compatibility, but it might be a long time from now, but I'm still waiting. Now, let's go over into Fiction Land, because it is time for our annual, oh, it's a Switch Pro coming, Switch Pro rumors part of the video. I'm just gonna say right off the bat, these are rumors. It might not be true. The last time we got all hyped up, I was hyped. I was like, oh, I'm ready for that Switch Pro. And then I was like, the Switch OLED with the same internals. Ugh. So I don't want to get that hyped up again. So we just gonna talk about what's going on with the Switch Pro. So Bloomberg was responsible for a lot of the Switch Pro rumors. They were the ones that claimed to have inside information. And a lot of those features ended up being in the Switch OLED, just not the upgraded internals. So now they're back with another story. Bloomberg is saying now that the Switch Pro was canceled basically because of supply chain issues, because of COVID. And they said that 11 studios had Switch Pro dev kits and they were told to make games targeting higher resolutions. Now the only studio they listed is Zynga out of all the 11 studios they claim had these dev kits. So yeah, that's where we are rumor wise. They said that basically didn't happen because of everything going on with the chip shortage, but they said to expect the Switch Pro in late 2022, which I was just kind of like, at this point, I'm not even gonna bank on that, because if the Switch OLED does well, like if it does really well for them, then I could just see them not making an upgraded Switch with upgraded internals. So I just don't think that we're guaranteed to get anything upgraded other than whatever their next gen console is at this point. Now, since then, both Nintendo and the company Zynga have come out and denied these rumors. Nintendo said the only system they're planning on releasing right now is the Switch OLED. Zynga said that they don't have a 4K developer kit or a pro developer kit from Nintendo. So that's pretty much where the rumor is. So Bloomberg put out this article. Nintendo and the company they claim that had the dev kit is denying it for obvious reasons. Even if it is true or was true at some point, they're going to say like that's not true, because Nintendo doesn't want to ruin their own hype before the Switch OLED comes out. If there were people planning an upgrade, which there probably are going to be some people planning an upgrade, even though the Switch OLED is really for new users or maybe users that have a Switch Lite, there's probably still going to be some people with a regular Switch that are going to upgrade to it. But if they hear that there's might be a Switch Pro next year, then they're just probably going to wait, and that's going to hurt their sales. So obviously, Nintendo's going to have to get out there and not that quick. They put out the statement to investors as well, and obviously they don't want investors thinking that they're about to release a new Switch, because that's going to mess them up, because they're going to be like, oh, Nintendo is going to be valued higher than they actually are. So it just causes a bunch of issues for Nintendo. So I understand why they would deny it. Like I said, at this point, I'm not expecting to get a Switch Pro. I'm looking forward to the OLED Switch. Actually, I decided I am going to try to get one. And then later this year, or probably next year realistically, I'm going to try to get a Steam Deck, because that's just where I'm at. I want to play games at higher resolutions and higher fidelities. I'll probably do that with the Steam Deck. And then my Switch, I'll play Nintendo stuff. So I just don't really care as much about the Switch Pro either. The Switch is fine as it is. If they never do a Switch Pro and they end up doing a Switch 2, that's completely fine. But let me know what you think. Do you think at this point Nintendo is going to release an upgraded Switch, or the next Switch is just going to be the next generation of the Nintendo system? And with that being said, I'm peacing out for the day. But if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon thingy so you get notified when I drop a video. And as always, remember to do at least 2 things at the same time.